Scream Season 2 recently wrapped up, and I kind of want to look at a video in which I want to talk about Scream, the TV show, and I want to look at ways that they kind of lost a lot of potential that they could have went for the Scream TV show. And so when I talk about this, there will be a lot of spoilers, because once again, I want to go into details about how they approached, how MTV approached Scream. And in order for me to go into those details, of course, I'm going to have to spoil a few things. So I'm going to be talking about Scream Season 1, and I'm going to, of course, be talking about Season 2 as well. So, of course, and I'm going to be going into details, so, of course, spoiler territory. Okay, first off, I'm going to say I don't hate the Scream TV show. I've got a lot of respect for the show, actually. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed the first season. I think there's a lot of great characters there, and I did enjoy some of the kills in it. I really liked the character Noah and Audrey. I think those two were definitely the highlights of the show for me, particularly Noah. Audrey and Noah, they play off each other really well, and they definitely delivered the strongest performances of the show. Emma's not a bad lead character. She's definitely no Sydney from the movie series, but I mean, she's not a horrible lead in the show. I also think her mother, Maggie, is a very interesting character. Zoe, introduced in Season 2, was a great character as well. She acts as a love interest to Noah's character. All great characters. Some of the other characters are kind of hit and miss for me. But I gotta say, I was really pleasantly surprised by Season 1. I like the way that they play a lot of homage to the first Scream in the pilot. And I do like the way they keep the movie references and TV references that was in the movie series as well. I think all that was great. But I do feel that there is still a lot of lost opportunity in the TV show. One of the things is that the TV show doesn't do great is they try to do is create this suspicion around everyone, all the characters, and it's the way they do it is kind of really kind of shoehorned. You know, there's moments where you see a character doing something kind of suspicious, and you know they have this dialogue like, "You better not tell anyone what we done." You know, it's something like that, or you know, you see a character walking around in the middle of the night or stalking someone, and it's really kind of false, you know, suspect kind of thing they're creating, and it doesn't quite work actually often. Also, I mean, the reveal of Season 1 finale, it didn't quite work for me. I mean, I think the mystery building up to it was all fantastic. Actually, I thought that was really cool. But when the villain was finally revealed, it felt a bit off-putting, and I mean, because I had no problem with the actual twist itself, but just the performance of the actress, because of course for those who have watched Season 1, we all know that Piper was the villain of Season 1, and it's like we've seen her kind of being this kind of mentor like figure to Emma. She's always kind of guiding her and supporting her. So when she's kind of revealed as villain character, I mean, I was really put off at first. First off, I was just like, wait a second, who the hell is this person? Who is this person? Because I mean, she looks so different. She wasn't wearing her glasses. She kind of had her hair tied back, and you kind of really noticed her ears for some reason. And she looked a lot older. And then she was kind of like, you know, almost a Scooby-Doo villain, where she goes from, you know, playing her normal self to being this kind of, you ruined my plans, Scooby-Doo. You know, it was just really kind of over the top. You could really tell that, you know, she's not the type of actress who could play an evil character. And that's, you know, one of the things about this show is they haven't got casted actors who can play both good and evil. And that was because in the first Scream, we all remember Billy Loomis's character, Sydney's boyfriend in the first film, and that performance was great, a really iconic villain, and that worked mainly because the actor who played him, he really could play kind of Sydney's boyfriend, but he was also really able to play the killer. But sadly, that wasn't the case for Piper, because Piper was just like, "I'm evil now." It was just really off-putting. And you know, Season 2, I get where they were going, that they had to kind of set it over, you know, a few months rather than a few years. And, you know, I have mixed feelings about that. I do appreciate the kind of the Audrey kind of cliffhanger that they went to it after season 1. And I do like the idea of a show that does certain shows that do continue straight after where season 1 left. I do appreciate all those elements, but I do feel a different environment would have been great for season 2. You know, a different environment like they done the second Scream movie. You know, add in a load of new college friends or whatever, a load of killable characters that you could just wipe out, and just add a little bit more development for each character rather than over a course of a few months. But I understand why they had to do that. Once again, with the big villain reveal, we do learn that Kieran is the villain, and you know, I felt it was a little off-putting as well. I mean, the whole way through season 2, I was thinking, I was looking for people who'd be a likely suspect and who'd be a good villainous character. That's how I looked at season 2. I was looking at who would be a good plot twist, what would be a good plot twist, because there was so many like real obvious looking characters. It's like, wait a second, because they made Eli into this real suspicious like character. Wait a second, you know, and that really kind of felt kind of shoehorned in. And then, of course, in the end, it's just like, oh, it's Kieran! And that was another thing I didn't quite like, because in both cases, right, it's a twist very similar to what Sydney had in the Scream movies. Of course, in season 1, it's Piper. Piper really is Emma's half-sister. That was the same twist as in Scream 3, where the killer is actually Sydney's half-brother. And of course in Scream 1 we all know Billy Loomis was the baddie, the big villain, and of course we know that it was Sydney's boyfriend. And this is the same with season 2 finale. You know, Kieran, Emma's boyfriend in the series. So, you know, that was a little bit too similar for my take. So I'm just going to look into ways they should have approached the Scream TV show. First off, I think they should have a better kind of network that should have picked it up. Something like HBO or AMC, someone like that, you know, would have been great for this. I think they would be in their element for this type of show. Someone who can really do a darker type edge to a show. A type of network that can really do kind of really violent things for the narrative. Because like MTV, I must say, they've done a great job with this, because I had my doubts, because MTV, you know, they do Teen Mom and they done some awful TV shows, especially with they done an MTV version of The Inbetweeners, which is a great British show, and they done a remake which was awful. So I was a little fearful for it. So if they had a better like studio or better network who had a little bit more of an edge to them, who were a little bit more dark, more edgy about them, I think that really would have benefited the show as well. I also think the show should have been set in the world of the movies. That's one of the things the TV show badly got wrong. This should have been a sequel series to the movies, similar to how Ash vs. the Evil Dead plays out. It's set in the world of the movies and it plays into that. And I definitely think that's what they should have done for the Scream TV show. And it would have been cool actually if they'd done something like brought back an iconic character that we were familiar with from the movies. And what if they actually killed him in the pilot episode of season 1? Like what if they'd done something like remember Scream 3 where Cotton gets killed in the opening act, the very first scene. That was a great way to introduce Scream 3. Of course, the rest of the film wasn't great, but that would have been a great way to set the tone for the TV show. Bring a beloved movie character back and kill him within the first scene. Or have them kind of appear as a special guest. Either Dewey or Gale or, you know, or even Sydney, one of those characters. Bring them back just one more time and have them reintroduce this world to a TV audience, because the TV show has its own mythology, and you know it doesn't quite work. Because I mean, could you imagine if they actually really played into past of Lakewood, like really play into the murders that happened in Lakewood and play into Billy Loomis and you know all that great backstory. The movies had such a rich background. I mean, they really could have played off great mythology that we knew of from the movies. That should have been brought back. Definitely. And also that really would have reunited all the people who've seen the movies. They definitely would have checked the TV show. Also, I think that they should have done the the TV show a few years earlier, before, you know, Wes Craven got ill, because he could have worked as an executive producer. He could have really worked close with the showrunners of the show. And of course, most importantly, he could have directed the pilot. So he would have set the tone of how the rest of the TV show would have flowed. And that would have been very important for the actual tone of the show and how it would keep familiar to the films. Also, I think Kevin Williamson, who was the creator of Scream, he was the screenwriter for the first 3 films. I think he wrote 4 as well. He should have been on board as well. And I don't know if, not just as a showrunner, he doesn't have to be a showrunner on it. Maybe as a script doctor, maybe as a script supervisor, you know, a consultant, someone like that. Maybe he should have been he should have chosen the showrunner for the show, and it should have followed on from his legacy. That would have been great, actually, for the show. I wish the show was a little braver. You know what I mean? In the Scream movies, of course, it was always Sidney as kind of the lead protagonist. And I feel the TV show should have been a little braver. I think they should have maybe switched it around a little bit. Maybe kill off, like, maybe, imagine if season 2 started off, maybe if they kind of kill off Emma and they went in a different structure, and another of the side characters kind of stepped up as lead protagonist. I know a lot of people will be kind of put off by that because they would relate to Emma's character, but it makes it more intense. It makes it more unpredictable. It means no one is safe in this world, and it also suggests that it creates a lot of drama, it creates a lot of tension, and plus it makes it more relevant because this TV show is set in the horror genre. Anyone can be killed, and I think they should have played into that idea. I do love the elements of detective mode in the TV show. It really does an interesting job of these survivors who, they want to find out who's after them and they want to play detective. And that's interesting because it makes them less of a terrified survivor, rather than, you know, their type of character who really want to know who this guy is and they want to find this guy and stop him. That's all really good. But I feel there should be a greater sense of tension. There should be a greater, almost a survival element to it. More of a chase pursuit type situation. That would have been really cool, because there's often cases where they're getting threatened by the killer, but they follow these trails, they follow these little, you know, breadcrumbs to certain places. But of course they don't have a knife or a type of weapon to defend themselves. It's a little off-putting in that sense. Also, I wouldn't mind if there was more of a sense of, there's more kills in it. I mean, there's often cases on the show where characters are left injured or wounded, and it kind of makes Ghostface seem a little bit on the nose, maybe a little bit of a weaker type antagonist rather than someone who is truly a terrifying type foe. There's just a few little things how I would approach that, and just a summary of what I feel like they should have done for the show. Like, first off, I think they should have definitely had Wes Craven as a producer and a director of the pilot. Secondly, I want to say is that it should have been set in the world of the movies and should have acted as a sequel rather than doing its own thing. It should have really built into the lore of the movies, which would have been great. Kevin Williamson should have been a supervisor on the TV show. He should have been a supervisor or a consultant on the TV show. Should have definitely been played out. I think there should be a greater sense of a pursuit, a chase, a greater sense of danger. I think they should be braver when it comes to character deaths. Even killing off the lead, Emma, I think that would have been very unique, because people watch Game of Thrones and that's shock value. People watch Game of Thrones thinking, whoa, anyone could die, and people like that. They've noticed that. People think, whoa, this is surprising, who could die? And they're eager to watch it, mainly because they don't know who could survive. And that's something Scream should have really played into, that anyone could die. And mainly because, once again, it's the horror genre. No one is safe. I also think, of course, it should have had a bit more kill counts. And I also think they should have had, you know, a better network, like a better, you know, something like AMC, you know, or HBO, some bigger channel like that should have been involved with it. But in saying that, I don't hate what MTV have done for Scream. I don't hate it whatsoever. I'm pleasantly surprised with what they delivered. It's just these little things could have just brought it to another level. But then again, this is just my opinion. And you probably, guys out there, you mightn't like my opinion on it, and you might think it's a little bit too familiar, and rather than something that's brand new, like what Scream the TV show tried to do. Like, of course, like my vision for like a Scream TV show, it would have, because a new generation of Lakewooders, and of course some of the familiar characters that we know and love coming in as special guest kind of characters, and that's how I would have seen it. Like, maybe Gale coming back at one episode, maybe Dewey in another episode, just to realize, wow, these guys are back. And are we going to see them in action? Could they die? That would be really interesting. I'm just going to leave it at that. And what do you guys think of Scream? And what do you guys think of the Scream TV show, the Scream franchise? What's your favorite Wes Craven movie? And what did you think of the season 2 finale of the Scream, the TV show? What's your opinion on that? And I'm just going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see.